welcome to Quail's Knitting Nest. My name is Joy.
And I'm Jackie.
It's so nice to have you here today, Jackie.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, I'd love to have you. Unfortunately, Janet's not here. She got sick over Christmas time. She got COVID, and then she rebounded COVID, and she's still recuperating. She's definitely doing better, but oh well. So, but I'm so glad we already scheduled you for today.
Yes,
so
we did.
We could still go on. So we met in the before times.
Yes, before COVID.
Before COVID. I think at the Pottstown Knit Out, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
At that time, I was the teacher coordinator, so
Yes,
I was
you were.
always looking for teachers. But I didn't remember how I got hooked up with you.
I'm not quite sure how I found out about Pottstown Knit Out, but I responded to an email that you needed teachers. And at that point, we corresponded every year.
Yep.
For the Pottstown Knit Out as to what class I was going to teach, etc., and all the particulars, right? But we hadn't really met.
Right.
Right, until
like
really
briefly
late,
at the
right?
Knit Out,
At the
yeah.
Knit Out. And
Like, oh, are you Jackie?
Right. That's exactly what happened. And after that, we were able to eventually hook up. We didn't even realize that we lived in the same town.
Right.
Not too far, like 10 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
So that was nice and rewarding.
Yes, it
Thank
was.
you.
Yes.
It was.
Do you remember how many years you taught at the Knit Out?
I think this will be this particular knit out will probably be my 4th time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you teach last year?
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
okay. And it's nice with the smaller classes too.
Well, last year the whole Pottstown Knit Out
everything
was small.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have a smaller class because you could kind of, you have more time that you could spend with people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next one is coming up soon.
Yes, it's next Saturday.
January 21st.
Yes, next Saturday.
Yeah. That's exciting.
I know.
So you're teaching this year, right?
I'm teaching this year. I'm teaching Intro to Short Rows, and I'm teaching a class Crochet for Knitters.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for Intro to Short Rows, what techniques will you be?
First, I will be introducing what the short row technique is,
Okay.
and then we'll go over the wrap and turn.
Okay.
And German, possibly, if we have time. I do know that someone else is teaching German short row technique in general, so we might not get to that one. It depends on how many students.
Yeah, they're short
the time they're
classes.
short.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Crochet for Knitters, I'm going to just go over some simple crochet techniques that knitters could use to just finish off their sweaters, their cuffs, their hem of their garments, using your crochet hook to fix mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
of course,
handy.
that's really handy. And of course, provisional cast on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So how did you get started knitting?
Oh, years and years and years ago. I'm telling my age. My daughters are in their 40s. And I decided that I wanted to knit them a sweater. So I went.
So how old were your daughters at that time?
They were getting ready to start school, so they were 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were little.
They were little.
Okay.
Yeah. So 4 and 5, kindergarten age,
Uh-huh.
pre-kindergarten age. And at that time, our winters were really
Cold. Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm going to knit them some sweaters. So I went to the store, I bought needles and yarn and a book. And I sat there, and the only thing I knew was how to knit and purl. I didn't know anything about ribbing, knit one, purl one, or decreasing, or any of those techniques. Those were all outlined in the book, and so I just followed the book.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I did pullovers all the time until I felt confident enough to do cardigans.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Well, back then, that's all we had is the book.
Yes, yes.
Right?
And that's how I taught myself as well. I had the
Right.
book.
There was no Ravelry, there was
Right.
no YouTube.
Right.
There were books and yarn stores.
Yes. Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So all the instructions that you needed was always in the book.
Mhm.
So how to cast on, how to knit, how to purl, how to decrease, all that was outlined in words in a book.
Mm-hmm. I did okay with that until I was trying to do my first sock. And in the pattern, I don't know, somehow I got it mixed up and backwards, and the heel was inside out. And I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't tell from the directions what I did wrong. Like, I need help.
Yeah, in those days, there were quite a number of local yarn stores that were really, really helpful, especially in the area that I lived. There was the Knit With in Germantown, Tangled Web. There were, there was even a yarn store, I forget what it was called, in Norristown. There were a lot of little local yarn stores that, if I got stuck, I could kind of run in and say, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was before my time. When I was first learning to knit, there were yarn stores, but they were not really local. It was at least a 30-minute drive, if not more. And so I rarely would, I wouldn't run out just to get help on a little thing. I'd just muddle through on my own.
Well, that's what happened once I started to decide. When I decided that I was going to knit something for myself, I, at that time in Conshohocken, there was a yarn factory called Conshohocken Cotton. And I went there and I saw this sweater set. It was a long sweater and skirt. And, back then that was the style. And I came home with 45 balls of yarn. I bought enough for the sweater and the skirt, everything, because, it had to be the same dye lot.
Yes.
So I had to get everything that I needed. And that was the most difficult pattern that I don't know why I went so far.
You jumped in with both feet.
I jumped in. It was a leaf pattern. It had yarn overs, and I couldn't even ask you why. I just saw it and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And so I wanted to knit it. So I started with the back, and I was successful. I muddled through it without any. It even had bobbins. I was like crazy, but I did it, and the front though had like a V-neck square kind of collar to it that flipped over like my shirt.
Oh, okay.
And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that. So I went to a local yarn store and they helped me with it.
Great. And
they even knitted the skirt. So I didn't have to knit it by hand.
Oh, my.
She actually put it on a machine.
Oh, okay.
And knitted the skirt for me. Yeah, I gave her all the yarn.
That was the express.
That was really, because I was like, I don't really want to knit the skirt. So I called around and I found one that was like a yarn store that was only like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from my house. And they said that they'd be happy to knit it for me.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine somebody volunteering to do that today.
I know.
Wow.
Or the cost.
If
they decide to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the way, you decided to pursue master hand knitting with the Knitting Guild Association.
Yes, I did. The yarn store that knitted my skirt. It was a small little shop owned by two women, and I noticed that when I asked her to do the skirt, she actually measured me. She measured my waist. She wanted to know, and my hips. She wanted to know how long I wanted the skirt, and she actually did a little drawing. I mean, I didn't know it was a schematic. Mm-hmm. It was a little drawing, and she put everything in, and I told her I really didn't have a time frame or anything. So whenever she had it done, that was great. And while she was finishing up, other people were coming into the store, and I kind of watched them service their customers in a way that they would pick something out of a magazine, or it could have been a knitting magazine, I wasn't sure, and they would like, I like this. They would pick the yarn, someone would sit there and knit a swatch, and then the owner would measure them, and she would write the pattern.
Wow.
Right there. And I was like, I need to know how to do this, right? I need to know how to do this. And in the book, a Vogue knitting book, there was an advertisement for the Knitting Guild of America.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I didn't even know there was such a thing. So I reached out and I became a member. I looked for guilds in the area as well, and most of them were in Philadelphia, which meant it was a little too far for me to drive. But there were a number of guilds in Pennsylvania as well. So I was able to join and get more information about knitting, the actually knitting technique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there really is a technique to this. There's really a way to do things, and I was like,
a correct way
to do things, right? So I wanted to know what that was. Yeah. So
you did finish all 3 levels.
I did. Then I decided I was going to do the Master Knitting program, because if I wanted to teach or work in the yarn store, I just felt like I needed knowledge. And I didn't know any place else to get it. So I did level 1, level 2, and I submitted to level 3, and I got that back recently, and I have to resubmit.
Right.
Level 1, I didn't have to resubmit anything.
No, you didn't?
No.
Oh, good for you.
Level 2, I did. My socks, speaking of socks.
Okay.
I had to redo my Argyle sock because I started the toe with the wrong needle.
Oh.
So my seam was off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people on the committee,
yeah,
they don't miss
anything.
I think they take a magnifying glass.
I think so too. So they noticed that I started, the sock looks fine, but obviously I started it on the wrong needle. And so I had to redo the sock. But other than that, that was it until now.
Right.
Till this level.
Yeah.
I have quite a bit to redo.
Well, I had to redo a lot of things for every level. Oh my. Well, good for you. Of course, I was a brand new knitter, which is why I did it.
Right.
Because I was just learning. So it really was long distance education for me.
It really is long distance education. And it as sad as it is when we get the results back that we have to redo things, right?
Yeah.
There is a technique to it, and you want to be as good as you can be.
Yeah. And the things that they teach you are things that if you wanted to go to the county fair and have your item judged,
yes,
you would pass. And
you would pass, right? And if you want, and then of course, if you want to submit your designs for publication, that also provides you with the techniques and the knowledge in order to do that.
Yeah.
So
it's a little rough along the way, but you learn a lot. You learn a lot.
It's very rough. But at the end, it's worth it. I think it's worth it at the end.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It was worth going through it.
It was worth it.
Now, you brought a couple things that you did from the program, right?
Yes, I did. Part of the level 3 program, you have to decide if you're going to do a Farrell hat or Farrell sweater, cable hat or cable sweater. I decided to do a cable sweater. And this is my submission.
Beautiful. Look at that. So you not only knit this, but you designed it, right?
Yes. According to the program, you have to do so many cables, and I put different cables on the sleeve than I did the front, and it has to be in a traditional design as well. So wherever area in Fair Isle or cable knitting, Aran knitting, you have to make sure that it's according to that region, as well as all the other specifications. The only difference that's different is I did a high-low. That's normally not traditional.
Oh, I see. Oh, so at the bottom.
The bottom,
The
right.
front is longer and the back
Yeah.
is, or the front's short and the back is
Yeah.
longer. Yes, yes.
That's not typical
No.
tradition, but it's more modern.
Did you get points off for that?
No, I
Good.
got points for the different
yarn.
cables and the yarn. I got questioned on the yarn because it is heathered, and I didn't get.
I don't know if
previous.
it picks it up on
I don't know
this.
if you could pick it up.
Yeah. There's little speckles in here too.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost like a Donegal tweed sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they said that because it was light enough, and they could see the stitches.
Now what? You got a point off because the cables were different on the sleeve?
I got more points because the cables were different on the
Oh,
sleeves.
so they wanted them to match.
No, they were happy that they didn't.
Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was thinking the reverse.
No.
I really like this cable. It has the wide and then it
Yes.
gets narrow and wide again. That's really pretty cable.
Yeah. I kind of started out with this being the front, being on the front when I started designing it,
But
and then I ended up with this.
yeah, that's a really beautiful cable as well with the, and you have to have bobbles in it.
You have to have bobbles.
Yep. Oh, that is just beautiful.
Yeah, I was very happy with this. I think the hardest part was the collar, because I continued the cable all the way up.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. The cable goes right up to the edge of the collar. That's pretty cool.
Right, and to get it to lay, I switched needle sizes as I went up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's great.
So.
Did you have to do it more than once, the collar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because I needed to have it lay flat, and I wanted it to roll a little bit. I did the cast off a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I had to judge when to change my needles.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was worth it because it's gorgeous.
Yes. Absolutely worth it.
It's an heirloom now.
I know.
You can pass it on to your daughters. One of your daughters.
Or my granddaughter. She's thinking of knitting. How about that?
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
We'll see. She's only 5.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. So, and all the other stuff. I'm actually going through the rewrites or the resubmission with a friend.
Are
you? Yeah, a friend of
Good.
mine.
I'm glad you're doing that.
She actually got her level 3 back too, and she's got a lot of work, and we both decided, let's go through this together.
Little support
Little
group.
support, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So tell us about this sweater that you're wearing.
This sweater is one of the first sweaters that I knitted for myself.
Oh.
After the sweater set.
Okay.
Yeah, because the sweater set was a pullover. So this one was just, I liked this yarn, I bought it, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I still had a pattern that went from kid to adult, right? So I'm like, well, I'll use that pattern. So I took that pattern out, and I did a swatch, obviously, because that's what you're supposed to do. And
You're a rule follower, are you?
and so I just knitted it. I just came up with a different knit 2, purl 2, twisted knit stitches on the collar and the top, and I put the ridge in, because the sweater pattern was just a plain sweater. And I was like, well, if I put a couple every 5 rows, I'll do a ridge, and I just created it.
Hold your arm up. I don't know if it comes out, but every 5 rows there's a purl ridge all the way up, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, I was really happy with this. I was like, wow, this came out really good.
And it looks like you did short rows on the shoulder.
But I didn't.
Really?
I didn't.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
back in the day, you would knit a little bit and then you would decrease.
Oh, a stair step bind off.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Yep.
Now
I forgot about those. I never do them anymore.
Now we do short rows.
Yeah.
So that's why it looks like that. But
Yeah.
it's just
It's
drop
great.
shoulder.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I've had it for, forever.
Yeah.
And I love it. I was like, wow. I would make another one, but I don't have the pattern anymore, but I can
I'm sure.
re-engineer it.
Yeah. I'm sure you could. Yeah.
I like yours.
Yeah, this one's called St. Brigid. It's an Alice Starmore pattern. And I talked about this actually in my very first podcast episode. I think I had just recently finished it back then. And the yarn I used for this is Green Mountain Spinnery's Mewesic yarn. Which I love. I would totally get this yarn again. And I love this sweater. It's one of my favorites. I wear it all the time.
It's beautiful. That's how I feel about this yarn that I used. It was from Harleysville, and it's Bloodshot.
Bloodshot.
The color is Bloodshot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a wool, right?
It's a wool. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have 3 finished things to show.
I only have one.
Well, I'll start
I have
them.
one.
I'll start them. I've been working on Norah's Vintage Afghan.
Oh, okay.
And this is square number 7.
Oh, nice. It's beautiful. Love the cables.
Yeah, me too. The whole Afghan is cabled.
Okay.
And it's subtle, but there's like the big cables and then there's the little cables
ones, yeah.
in between on this one. I really like this square. So that finished that one.
Nice.
It would make a nice sweater, yes. Do you have these there's so many patterns out there that you can do stuff with. And then I talked about this in the last episode. I was still working
remember
on
that.
my
It
busy
was cute.
Busy Boy sweater. Let me see who it's by. It's by Lorna Miser. Busy Baby Boy sweater it's called. So I finished the sleeves and I put the neck in, and it looks like a small neck, but it's very stretchy.
It's very stretchy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm always worried about, like when you're knitting for especially a toddler or like 1 to 2 years, maybe even 3 years, because their heads are so big compared to the rest of their bodies. But I think it should fit. There's the back.
So cute.
So I'm happy with that. Happy with that. And now this baby's being born in March.
Oh, right on time.
So I'll get it to the parents soon. All right, show us what you have.
Oh, well, my finished project that I've been working on in between is striped bolting. It's Stephen West.
That is beautiful.
It's like all different ways, and Stephen West is Stephen West.
Oh yeah. It looks sort of like a giant chevron.
Yes. And he has, zigzagged, and it looks great on because it doesn't just fall flat, right? Because you have all the...
Do you want to wrap it on?
You have all these zigzaggy ways that you add and change, because it won't fall off because of the...
Cool.
Right?
Oh, look how pretty that is.
Isn't that pretty?
Wow.
The way I love the way it lays. And this is all stash yarn.
Nice. Oh, yeah, you put your colors together really well. I love how the purple goes with the gold there.
Right. It's all stash yarn.
That's great.
I was like, okay, so what am I going to use?
You don't want to run out and buy more, do you?
No, I don't. That was one of my objectives, and it's my objective for 2013 too. 2023 is to knit from my stash.
Yeah. So you've got 1, 2, 3. It looks like 4 colors.
Mm-hmm.
Then did you use all of the skeins?
I used all the skeins.
Yeah.
I kept knitting until I used them all. Except for the purple.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't use, but the gold and the brown, and they were all 400 yards.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to use it, but
that's beautiful.
I've always wanted, this is my first Stephen West.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's a nice one.
Yes.
Some of his patterns I'm a little leery of, but I really like this one.
I like this one too.
Yeah.
There's another one that I want to make from his, I think, Stephen West Volume 1 book.
Mm-hmm.
I have marked to do as well, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoy
Another shawl?
Another shawl.
Yeah. Nice.
But, he's coming out with some sweaters, so I'm tempted to do one of his sweaters.
Or it'll be interesting to see what they are.
Yes.
Yeah. He's so known for his shawls.
Yes. Yeah. But he's come out with a couple of stash breaker sweaters. So, yeah.
That's what everybody needs is a stash breaker sweater.
Yes, you know, because with shawls, you don't always use up all the skein.
Mm-hmm.
So you have maybe half a skein or a quarter of a skein left, and what do you do with it?
Right.
Other than, an Afghan.
Like this one.
Use all your odds and ends. You're right. You can use up all your odds and ends.
That's right.
Right.
The funny thing about this one was, though, I started up with a bag full of odds and ends, and when I was done, the bag was still just as full as when I started.
No!
It was like a Mary Poppins bag. As soon as I used up one little ball, another one would replace it.
Oh.
And I have one other finished object, and this is a hat. So there's the crown.
Nice. I like that little gold touch up there.
So this is actually, I made this as a swatch.
Really?
Really. I am working on a stranded sweater, and I made this as a swatch. So I took these two patterns at the bottom, this kind of leaf pattern, and then the exo pattern in the middle. Originally, I was going to make this sweater.
Oh, from Meg.
Yeah, Meg Swansen's Fair Isle Cardigan, it's called. And these patterns are from this from this sweater. And then to finish off the hat, I found a crown chart from this book. It's called Knitted Tams.
Oh, yes.
And I used the crown chart from this tam. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 7. But mine, because I was using bigger yarn, it only has 4.
Okay.
But the stitch count was right for the sections.
For the sections.
Yeah. So that's the crown from that book, and then the stitch patterns from this book. But then, so I made the hat, and I love the hat, but I couldn't imagine myself wearing a sweater that looked like this. To me, it was a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, maybe too busy, and I wasn't sure about the gold with the green. I don't know. So I ended up changing which pattern I'm using, and I'll show that later at the end. But I'm really happy with this hat, and my niece claimed it, so I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna send it to my niece.
That's nice, as long as she's knit worthy.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Go.
Actually, I've knit her quite a few things. Actually.
All right.
Yeah, she's one of the few knit-worthy people in the family. I did bring one acquisition, which I got for Christmas.
Oh.
So this is called Selbu Patterns, and it's by Anne Bårdsgård. Anne Bårdsgård. She is Norwegian. And Selbu is a region in Norway. You've probably seen mittens and stuff because they're known for their mittens.
Okay.
So the book talks about sort of the history of how these patterns became part of the Selbu tradition.
Okay.
And what she does is she'll take a picture of somebody wearing a sweater, and then she makes the chart out of it.
Ah, because there isn't a pattern for it.
Some of them there are, and some of them, she also mixes in a few new ones.
Okay.
Like there's one from Ariana and Carlos in here.
Oh, nice.
But most of them are old. So a lot of stockings. And so she takes the main pattern from the stocking and then makes a chart out of it. So the book is full of these charts.
My.
I mean, you can go. I just love these. I think they are so pretty.
That's pretty. That would be nice in black and white.
And most of them were knit that way originally.
Okay.
Black and white. Sometimes there was red and white.
Oh, okay.
And occasionally blue and white, but most of them were black and white.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they're just stunning. I love these. And there's a
Look
pair
at
of old
those
stockings. Yeah. So this is my little Christmas present.
Oh, nice.
I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it's so nice to look at.
Well, I don't have any acquisitions other than I decided to do a crocheted Afghan.
Okay.
Because I teach crochet as well, I kind of thought maybe I should hone that skill a little bit more. So I get these in the mail a lot of times. And it's Annie's Crochet Afghan. And it's a sampler. And you get the blocks, the instructions to crochet the block.
Oh.
Sort of like the knitting blocks you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, except it's crocheted.
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing it in these grays colors too. So we'll see how fast I can keep up.
So is this something you subscribe to?
Yeah.
Okay.
You subscribe to it, and they send you, based on the color choices that you select, they send you the material, and you knit the block.
Oh, okay.
And then I think I've scheduled every 3 months or so, I'll get another set of 3 blocks and materials.
That's really neat.
Isn't that neat?
So by the time you're done, you'll have an Afghan.
I'll have an Afghan crocheted.
That's
wow.
cool.
Huh?
Yeah. Very nice.
Very
so
nice.
do you have a block done?
I have not done a block yet.
Okay. Up and coming.
But I'm up and coming.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Some dream crochet.
It'll be just a little block, and I'll get the block done like you're doing.
Right.
Blocks.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do at least one a month. If I do one a month, it'll take 20 months because it's 20 blocks.
Okay.
But some months I've been able to do more than one block, so it probably won't take quite
as long.
Yeah. So.
I know our knitting guild, the Liberty Bell Knitting Guild, they're doing that as well.
Oh,
One of the ladies in the group is sending out a block a month.
Is she designing them?
She's designing them.
That's neat. Wow.
Yeah, she's kind of like taking the patterns, from pattern books or whatever, and she actually sends us the instructions. And because we did the Afghan last year, she did designs for an Afghan last year. Everyone enjoyed it, so she's doing it again this year.
The only guild around here that I ever went to was the Phoenixville one, and then it kind of folded after a couple years. But.
Yeah, that guild is still humming. Of course, we haven't met because of COVID. The facility that we used to meet at, is still kind of locked down a little bit. So everything is virtual.
Well, I'll show you what I've started here. So I am making, this is going to be my sweater. I'll put a picture of it in the video, but I want to show you so you can see what the sweater looks like. Let's see. It's called Delft.
Oh.
So that's what it's going to be eventually.
Nice. Now I see it because I was like, what's the gold part?
Yeah. So right now I have 2 sleeves done. I did the sleeves first because that's what I did with this sweater. I did the sleeve first basically as a swatch.
Okay. Right, to get used to the...
Yes, and I did, in fact, the first sleeve I did, I made about this much and I ripped the whole thing out and started over because it was too big, I think. And here, feel this. One of them is unblocked and one of them is blocked. Feel the difference?
My! This is so soft.
Yeah. It's a huge difference.
I know, I'm looking at you. I'm like, really? This becomes this?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of amazing.
It is.
And I did that as well because of...
Wow.
For swatching purposes, because I didn't want to cast on 300 stitches for the body and then have it be wrong.
Yes.
And it did... the blocked swatch is ever so... It's about an inch longer.
I was going to say, it's a little bigger.
It's about an inch longer, and it's a hair wider. Maybe a ½ inch wider. You can really see here at the end. Yeah, at the very top. Yeah. It's about a whole inch longer. Since we're master knitters now. my gauge is way off from what the pattern is. So I'm basically rewriting the pattern to fit what I need it to be. So that's why I need to know all my numbers for the gauge. I'm on the stitch count, I think, for the largest size, the 2XL.
Okay.
But I'm actually closer to a medium. But my stitch count is that. So I have my sleeves, and I can't really fit it on over top this sweater, but it should reach right up to my armhole here and go up. It's actually, the sleeve's a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but
I was going to say,
once I get it seamed up, it'll be different. Are you going to come
back a little bit on the sleeve?
It depends on, I'm going to knit up the body and see how it fits in. And then I'll decide if I want to rip it back or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, and then it was also a little tricky because you're going from stranded to regular one color knitting, so that affects your gauge and
big time.
Figuring out your sleeve cap is always a little dicey, and then when you're doing it, changing your fabric as well, it's like
yeah.
So I kind of guesstimated my way through here.
Not bad though. You're not that far off between the two, especially since this is your finished sleeve.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a matter of whether or not this is too long.
Right.
And I don't think cutting this back will change your pattern, change the design too much.
No.
Beautiful.
And I just love this stitch pattern.
That reminds me of the patterns in the book.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit. Well, I think she might be a Norwegian designer. I forget. I'll have to look it up and see. She's some sort of Scandinavian. I don't remember if it's Norwegian or not, but it's definitely. And this is based, I think, Delft. I meant to look this up, but I think Delft is a pottery pattern.
Oh, okay.
It's like off some sort of Eastern European pottery or something. But I'll check it out.
Beautiful.
And what are you working on?
I'm working on this cardigan. I hope you can see it. It's called Ariana. And it's a crocheted and knitted pattern.
Crocheted and knit. Okay.
Yes. You crochet the squares. And I have to do 48 of these.
Oh, okay.
48 of these squares.
Oh, and they're on the diagonal. So
and yes, and when you put them together, they'll be on the diagonal. I haven't decided if I'm going to trim them in the blue, because I'm going to use blue to do the collar and the border, the ribbing, etc. This pattern says I should outline the square in blue before I put them together. I haven't decided to do that yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but like in the pattern that has white
on
the outside.
On the outside, yeah. So I haven't decided to do that yet. And this is Norah yarn.
Oh, I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, it's Norah.
So is it slowly changing color?
Yes. It slowly changes color. It's this.
So it's a nice multi.
Yeah, it's nice multi.
Yeah.
So every one will be a little different, which would be kind of nice. As you can see, they're some more redder than others, and
there's like a greenish one and a deep blue. Very pretty.
Yeah, so I thought, adding the combination would be nice. Nice change.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do at least 3 or 4 of these little squares every day.
How many did you say you needed?
I needed 48.
48. Okay. Well, you'll get there. You'll get there.
That includes half squares too.
Okay.
So you have to do so many whole and so many half.
So do you think that crocheting the squares is faster than if you were knitting it, or maybe not?
I knit. Because I've knitted longer than I've crocheted.
Okay.
I just enjoy knitting more. I think with this particular pattern, because it's squares, you can do the squares quickly, but then you have to sit and put it together.
Right.
So,
and is it put together with crochet? Like, do you just slip stitch it together?
You can slip stitch it together. Yeah. That's what I plan to do, is slip stitch it. Or if it doesn't work that way, then I will, get a tapestry needle
yeah.
and do it that way. But yeah.
So when Janet and I took the crochet class with Arna and Carlos in November, they do their whatever it is. If it's a rose, a circle, a butterfly, whatever, anything that they put together into an Afghan, Arna always does some sort of slip stitch between the pieces so that he never has to take a tapestry needle and like sew something together. He always does it with the crochet.
Yeah, so what he does is he joins as he goes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You can certainly do that. And I could have done it with this, except for the fact that you've got to create this, you have to create the sweater. So since I'm putting the squares on a diagonal, I'm going to have diagonal pieces that I'm going to have to fit in.
Yeah.
So it'd be easier just to lay it out and then put it together.
Yeah. Plus, with the colors going on, you'll probably want to place them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I've had other people in my knitting group actually knit a cardigan like that with all squares.
Oh.
And they used Norah as well.
Uh-huh.
And then they trimmed it, they crocheted the collar and the cuffs. I'm going to knit mine. And mine's going to be shorter. So hers was kind of like hip length.
Okay. Yeah. Neat.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be fun to see that one.
I know. I'm excited because Marie Wallen has a lot of crochet and knit patterns.
I've seen her knit ones, but I haven't seen the crochet ones.
Yes, they're beautiful. And it's that same kind of technique where she'll crochet the body and then she finishes it off with knitting.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reverse of like us knitters. We'll knit it and then use crochet around the edges. Yeah.
Right. Yep. It's reversed, and she has beautiful designs.
She does.
Yes,
she does.
she really
and beautiful yarns and colors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how much crochet and knitting she had until I checked her out on Ravelry.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know she did crochet designs, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
You didn't happen to bring that other sweater for your granddaughter, did you? The one with the...
No, I didn't. It was a Christmas sweater.
Did you give it to her?
No, it's not finished.
I saw your picture. It looks so pretty.
Thank you, but it's not finished. See, guys, I planned to knit a sweater for Christmas, and time got away from me, so I was not able to finish it. So far, I have finished the body, and I'm working on one sleeve. And hopefully, it's big enough that she can use it next year.
Are you okay if I put a picture of it?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, because I really think it's pretty.
Thank you.
Like that sweater,
I'm so disappointed in myself. I started late, too, but I was like, oh, it's little. I can get it done, right? Well, between the Christmas shopping, decorating, cooking, time just got away from me.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. You do, and you got to do it when it's still fun to do. Like you can't be like, oh my gosh, I have to finish this, and then it becomes all stress.
Right.
Yeah. You got to enjoy your hobby.
I need to.
Not make it a job. So I do have a question for our viewers.
Yes.
Since we've been talking about knitting and learning to knit and how you knit and master class and all that, my question for you is, have you taken classes to learn how to do certain techniques? And if so, what are they? For example, have you done a master hand knitting program? Have you done something through the Craft
Yarn Council?
Craft Yarn Council, that's it. Have you taken a Craft Yarn Council course? Or do you take classes from your local yarn shop? From your local yarn shop teacher? So let us know what you do, how you learn your new techniques, and tell us in the comments.
That would be fun to know.
Yeah, it would be fun to know.
Yeah, it would be fun to know.
And that's cool that you have a buddy sort of going through the master hand class with you.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I met my buddy at the Pottstown Knit Out.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, I did. It was a couple years ago when I was teaching, and I heard two people talking about the master knitting program.
Mm.
And one was saying, no, I'm not going to do it. And the other one was like, well, I've done 1 and 2. I'm just going to go ahead and do 3. So I kind of butted myself into their conversation. I was like, hi, I'm Jackie. You're doing the master knitting program. And she said, yes, I want to do level 3. And I said, so do I. So we exchanged numbers and we've been friends ever since.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. We've even gone to the masters, usually, well, before COVID, the Guild would have a master's day that everyone that's in the program can go and meet and talk to teachers and actually bring what you're working on so that they can evaluate it before you submit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, did they ever have those locally here in the Philadelphia area?
No, the one that I attended was in San Diego, and the last ones were in down south. They were in Texas, or they were not local.
Mm.
You
That's what I thought, because
Yeah.
I had heard about it in California, but
Yeah.
not around here.
No, they're not.
That's cool though that you took a trip to San Diego for that.
Yes, and I got to meet everyone that was in the program, and actually met the chairperson of the Masters Hand Knitting program. We sat, one period was 3 hours where individuals did bring their swatches and brought their questions, and actually sat and watched them evaluate a swatch. And when you said that they are meticulous, they really are, and you get to actually see them do what they do.
Wow. That's neat.
Yeah.
I never had that. I don't think they did that back when I was doing it.
No, I don't think they did either.
That's pretty neat that they're doing that.
Yeah, but it's amazing that they can actually look at a swatch that is textured and know that, oh, that should have been a purl stitch.
They have a keen eyes.
I know. Yeah. And we're like, huh? Even the knitter is like, where? It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jackie.
Well, thank you. It's been a joy, and thank you for joining us.
Yep. We'll see you in the future sometime. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I didn't know that.